Good evening. I'll now call the City of Cannon Falls City Council meeting for Tuesday, September the 4th to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Abady is absent. Altoff?
Here.
Carpenter?
Here.
Duncan?
Here.
Lundell is absent. Mattson?
Here.
And Mayor Robinson.
Here. All please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you brought your John boats to get home in with all the rain we've got tonight, but hopefully it won't be too bad. This time, the chair will take a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
I will second.
Motion by Ken, second by Bill. Any further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. That moves us on to public input this evening. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the minutes. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Comments must be pertinent to city business and adhere to data privacy rules. No employee names may be used and personal attacks will not be tolerated. Is there anybody wishing to address the council under public input?
I am Robert Badon, live at 86 Riverside Terrace here in Cannon Falls. My concern is the rail siding between the RAP Oil Company property and the old trust plants. Probably about a year ago, there was a hearing relative to the RAP property about it being sold to somebody who was going to use it to bring in rail cars of bituminous products and unload them. And as my understanding from the hearing that night was that that was not going to happen. However, that is happening right now. There's 7 cars on the rail siding.
Don't know anything about that at this time, but we'll look into it, Bob.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to address the council this evening under public input? If not, we will move on to, what? I do have one more, okay.
Linda Taji and Steve Taji of 300 Limestone Road. First of all, I want to thank you council members for listening to my concerns about the 200 Limestone Road home, the bluff erosion, and the value of our houses possibly being going down. I understand there's now in consideration of having swales built on the north and the south of the houses. And I'm concerned about any mosquito infestation there. I understand a swale is just someplace where water can just where it's a ditch with water in it. And also concerned about any other, like mice, rats, other animals that are attracted to water. Children, it's going to be a magnet for children. And mushroom growth. Concerned about who's going to pay for these swales, and apparently what I've looked online and found is that you just don't put them in. There's got to be adjustments that have to be made over the years. Who's going to be paying for that? Who's going to build it? A professional needs to build it that has done swales. What kind of swale it is going to be, if it's going to be rock, grass. Also, I know when we moved into the house, they were so concerned about the shale up there, and with the expansion and contraction of shale, and I don't understand how they're going to put a swale on shale. That just seems like it's going to make some erosion up there. We wanted to know where the water's going to run to and where it's going to pond, and also about snow melt. When the way it's built up there, it's so high that when we get a lot of snow this winter, is it all going to go down the hill and erode the bluff? I would like to request a meeting of the council members, city engineer, and the county permit technician and anybody else interested to come there and just explain it to the community up there of how things are going to be done up there. We're very concerned about that. I believe we are entitled to see the building plans and permits that are on record. We're mostly concerned about the bluff erosion up there. There have been trees that have been torn down. There are signs where it shows where the bluff is where it's preserved, where the bluff is preserved, and it's gone beyond that. They've been digging out. Trees have been taken down. There's a drop about 30 feet back. There's a cliff drop there. Apparently there used to be a quarry up in that area. And so there's like a drop. So I don't know if this would turn into like a waterfalls all of a sudden if we get a lot of water and erosion there. That's a big concern of ours. And I just want to make sure that, you know, when the city, to make sure that the developer is, when they get rid of the water, that you guys approve it, that it's done right, and that the building regulations of the city, state, and county are all followed. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Greg, have you gotten a new site plan? And
Yeah, specific to 200, they submitted a plan. We made a few revisions. We approved it last week. One of the conditions is we will do a walkthrough, make sure everything is built per the plan and vegetation's restored before the occupancy is issued. So it'll be on their property, and it's not that unique from any other single-family house. It's just a little bit of a challenge here, but right now they've got the approved grading plan with my comments on file with Sam, and one of those requirements is a walkthrough before they move in, that it got built for what's approved.
So it will all be approved, and the erosion will be taken care of, the water runoff will be taken care of,
We're talking specifically about 200 Limestone right now.
the house?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll all be on their site, and it'll be similar to the other houses up there with the roof drainage. Will either come out the front to the street or out along the side lot lines to the backyard.
Okay, now if it goes out to the street, I know in the winter, the ice builds up because the drains that they have in the street get so backed up that it starts to just be a sheet of ice up there.
That would have
So-
to be maintenance, Public Works would look at that.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about overusing the drainage up there with these drains?
I would be surprised if that was an issue. No, it seems like a decent 4% grade to the street, which is typical for most residential lots. Some of them are even more than that one. So I think when it's all said and done, it'll fit, and they'll approve what they need, or meet what needs to be done, but there will be that walkthrough at the end to make sure it got built for what was approved.
I would also like to say that later in our agenda, the builder for that project is actually going to be addressing the council. Maybe he can address your concerns
Wonderful.
at
That'd be
that
great.
time also.
Thank you.
I've just had a few things here. Steve Taji, 300 Limestone Road. Just kind of little concerned here of, we met here 2 weeks ago, and there was talk about fines and penalties on this property. There was talk of it needs to be removed. There was a stop work order. Now that has been removed, and they have continued construction. I know there was a lot of concerned people here, and there was a lot of people that came up to us and talked afterwards and said, that is just not right sitting up there the way it is. And I guess we would like some answers on really who dropped the ball here. Is it the city, the county, the builder, a combination, or what? Because is this going to happen again on a walkout lot up there in our neighborhood?
And those are all very legitimate questions. There probably is a little blame all around, I would say. And hopefully from the city end, I've asked Sam to make our permitting process a little bit different, to make it a little clearer. Things like the drainage from now on will be addressed up front. Things like that. It's not going to be perfect for each individual building lot, but we're trying, at least on the city end, to try and improve what we're doing. To hope, but we can't guarantee anything.
Right. I know when we built up there, the builder we had, he had to dot his i's and cross his t's. And everything went by the book, and it just seems that for some reason, this thing just kind of slipped through the cracks. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to address the council under public input this evening?
I'm Delane Nelson, Limestone Road, house next to the hill. How did it, tell me how it slipped through the cracks? When you guys were made aware of it so early on, how did it, I would like to know how it slipped through the cracks. Anybody?
Well, I mean, the plans were submitted, they went to the county, who had to approve them.
The county, so see, because when I called the county, I was told this decision was going to be in the county's hands, and then when I called the county said, oh no, that's all city. So, let me see, how do I say this? A permit was issued, and I think somebody screwed up when they issued the permit. And we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Growing up, I was brought up that it's okay to make mistakes. You're going to make a million mistakes in your lifetime, Delane, and I have done that. But it's how you handle that mistake. We were taught to own it, first of all, and nobody's owning it. I'm getting city, I'm getting county. Own it, fix it, and learn from it. And we cannot learn from it if we don't own it and fix it. And so that's, I mean, I just want an answer. Who screwed up, and then why did we not fix it? Was it money, that it was too much money to fix it the proper way? Is that what it came down to? And all I want is the answer.
Well, we'll look into that for you.
When should I come back to the next meeting?
Come back to the
or-
next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
We will check that out, Greg. If you can just get me the steps that we went through for that permit, and I'll check with the county also. See, but
Good evening. This is Kyle Paulson from the Chamber of Commerce in Cannon Falls area. I do want to invite everyone to our last Chamber Fun Fest on September 13th. That is a week from this Thursday. And we are completely filled. All of the booth spaces, we even have them going down the middle of Mill Street and on the bridge. And so it is becoming more popular every month. We have had a little bit of an issue in August where we only had one food vendor. And I just want to let you know that we are fixing that issue. We will now have Mexican food there. We will have barbecued ribs there. We will have crumbled beef sandwiches there. And so we have brought in more food vendors to make sure everyone gets what they're looking for. And so I hope everyone comes out. We do have Josh Habercorn. He is a native of Cannon Falls and a classic country singer, so he'll be our entertainment for the evening. Thank you very much.
thanks, Al. Anyone else under public input? Anyone else under public input? If not, we will move on to presentations. The first one is from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, Jennifer Nelson.
Good evening. I have some information to pass out. I don't know if you guys want this. And he probably needs no introduction, but John Peterson is with me tonight. He is on our board of directors, or board of trustees, and he'll chat a little bit about our programming as well. I just wanted to introduce who we are. We're a regional foundation. We were started in 1986 by the McKnight Foundation, and we invest in 20 counties in southern Minnesota. And obviously Goodhue County is one of those counties. Over the last 32 years, we've invested about $111 million back into the region, and that's through our programming. our grant making, our lending, and I already mentioned our programming. In addition to that, if I look each year at what we invest back into each county or into the region, we invest about $5 million each year. And drilling it down to Goodhue County over the last couple years, just 2 years, we've invested almost $200,000 into the county, and that's through our programming. So it can be through our economic development, where we're helping to support business growth and training and programming for entrepreneurs that are launching their business. A couple local examples, not right here in Cannon Falls, our Blue Dog Cafe in Welch. We were one of the loan or lending partners on that, so we'll partner with a local financial institution or an EDA to open new businesses and get them up and running. We also provide technical assistance to our loan clients. Another local or close by loan client would be Imminent Brewing in Northfield. There again, we are a collaborator. We are just one of many partners on that project, and we look to help support the overall economic development through our lending. We also have grants that we provide, and I'll have John talk a little bit. He's on our grants committee, but we have economic development grants as well as early childhood grants. And one of the most recent economic development grants went to the Sustainable Farming Network to help support Cannon Valley grown businesses or local foods entrepreneurs. That's one of the new ones. Do you want to mention anything about the grant committee? Or maybe we'll wait until we get to the early childhood area?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. In our early childhood area, that's our second focus area, and we invest each year about 1.6 of our $5 million on early childhood development, and that's through books, trainings that we provide, as well as grants and our AmeriCorps program. Most recently, we placed an AmeriCorps member here at the Cannon Valley, or I'm sorry, Cannon Falls. I'm trying to think of the exact place. Cannon Falls Preschool is where our AmeriCorps member is placed for this year and next year. And so we've invested about $1.6 million into that work, and not only through the grant making, but also trainings. We provide the quality child care provider training, and we've trained over 800 early child care providers in the 20 county area to help them get Parent Aware rated, which is the state of Minnesota's rating system for early child care providers. We continue to do that. We hosted 2 in Goodhue County last year, and we will be hosting one coming up in November in Lake City, and another one in Rochester, and also in Red Wing. So we train, as I mentioned, over 800 providers in the last few years. We also provide an early child care conference where we train over 400 providers and provide them continuing ed credits every year. It's important for us to make sure that our early child care providers are trained and have the dollars needed to help support kindergarten readiness throughout our 20 counties. Finally, our community vitality area. We help to support affiliate funds, community foundations, and donor-advised funds. We would love to support Cannon Falls if they were interested at any point in time in building or starting a community foundation. We currently have 28 community foundations under our umbrella. In Goodhue County, we have Wanamingo and Goodhue, both have community foundations. We help them build a board. We provide the 501c and act as a fiscal agent, and the communities raise the dollars, and we help train them how to do that. We provide planned giving material as well as continuing training and resources. We provide matching grants to our community foundations. Wanamingo just received a $10,000 grant last year in supporting their master plan for their baseball fields. So that's another opportunity for Cannon Falls to look at going forward. I know I've talked to John as well as a number of other community members about a community foundation here in Cannon Falls. And I neglected to mention Dave Maroney is also most recently on our lending committee. So he just joined that, but he's also been very instrumental in our local foods work. And I'll have John talk a little bit about that because he's also been very instrumental in our local foods work. And I'm sure you've seen some of the products. Do you want to say a few words? Yep.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I told Jennifer I'm happy to play second fiddle, so I'll be brief. Jennifer mentioned that Smith has been really active in local foods work, probably most prominently with their annual Feast Festival in Rochester. And Cannon Falls has been very well represented. I know some of you have come in years past. Cannon Falls has been well represented, not only our business, but Lawrence Meats, the winery. I know Tillian will be there this year. Raw Bistro, number of other local businesses. So many, in fact, that I know the city is a part of an event at the end of September at Dave's, where we're doing a local feast festival. So Smith has been really a great supporter of the local foods movement, and particularly here in Cannon Falls. Second thing I would mention that some of us know from the early era of Grow Cannon Falls is that Smith was a great partner in helping us get the Grow Cannon Falls effort off the ground and plan those initial Grow Cannon Falls meetings. And then Jennifer mentioned the Small Town Grants Program. I've had the good fortune of being a part of the grants committee while at Smith, and we're in a new strategic plan now, and the strategic plan at Smith specifically works to support and encourage communities of 5,000 and under. So I think Cannon Falls is really right in the wheelhouse of where Smith does some of their best work, and one of the new grant programs is the Small Town Grant Program that I would be happy to be an advocate for and to assist in any way we can. Honestly, Cannon Falls seems perfectly poised to be a grant recipient with the right application. So I think Smith has done a lot of good things for Cannon Falls, and just in the short time that I've been involved, it seems like this fairly nominal request has been sort of shuffled back and forth between the city and the EDA, and I don't quite know where it may fit best. But I think that there's tremendous potential for a return on a small investment by the city of Cannon Falls or the EDA. So would ask for your help in finding where those dollars might best fit the budget, but appreciate you giving that serious consideration.
Thanks, John.
I just wanted to add a little bit more about the investment. I will say most of our 20 counties, I should say all of our 20 counties support us, and about 30% of our 176 cities also support us. Lake City is one of our supporters, as well as Zumbrota right down the road, Northfield, Red Wing. Besides our cities and counties, our other largest supporters are our banks and our businesses. We have individuals and foundations that we raise dollars from as well each year. So each year we raise about $450,000 for our endowment funds, but we also raise an additional $2.3 to $3 million in grant funding to help support our programming. If any of you know Tim Penny, he's our president, and he's very what's the word I'm looking for? Because I always say frugal, but he's very, he's a good steward of the dollars that we have and that we raise for our communities to help put our work back into the communities and the resources that we have. And so one of the things tonight that I like to do is make sure that you understand the resources that we do have available, because you're our conduit back into the community. I meet with local EDA, local bankers, and many other local partners here to tell and talk about the work and the impact that our grants can have, our loans can have. We can partner with a local bank here, but you're also another resource for your constituents. So in your packet, I included some information. You have a Goodhue County investments fact sheet. So for every dollar that we raise in Goodhue County, we invest $17 back into the county. And we leverage additional resources for all of that work. I also wanted to highlight our annual report that just gives you a snapshot of our 3 focus areas: our community vitality work, our economic development work, and our early childhood work. Just a snapshot of what we did last year. And our new one will be launched at our annual luncheon this year on October 11th. I invite all of you to come learn a little bit more about your regional foundation. And I should have mentioned at the start, McKnight Foundation is still our largest supporter at $1 million a year. They help support our overhead cost, as well as some of our administration. But we look to our donors, our communities, our business owners to support the work that we do, and we're hoping that you see the value in the resources that we bring to the region.
Thanks, Jennifer. Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer?
Well, from past experience, I'm on the fair board in town, and we went and talked to Tim about our fairgrounds. And if you're ever at the fairgrounds, all the paint on the grandstand and the buildings was provided by your organization.
Yep.
We appreciate it. That was a grant we applied for.
Our Paint the Town grant.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of resources to talk about, so check your packet. There's some additional information that talks about our affiliate fund program, which is where our community foundations are held, and we'd love to talk to community members that are interested in starting a local community foundation.
Well, I get information for the fairgrounds on your organization each year, and I see all the cities that are in it, and I kind of wonder why Cannon Falls hasn't joined, and I'd maybe recommend that Cannon Falls make a contribution to it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions?
No.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that moves us on to the next presentation tonight, which will be Towards Zero Death presentation by Jessica Seid from the Goodhue County.
We tried this earlier, so we're gonna make sure that's perfect. You want to- Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Robinson and members of the City Council. My name is Jessica Seid. I am the Community Health Specialist for Goodhue County Health and Human Services, and I'm also the Towards Zero Death, also known as TZD, Safe Roads Grant Coordinator for Goodhue County.
My name's Officer Mark Fleur. I work here at the City of Cannon Falls, but I'm also the Enforcement Coordinator, basically tasked with working with Jessica and all the other enforcement coordinators throughout the county. So basically I take anything that we're going to do within the county, and then I bring it back to our department and kind of figure out where that enforcement's going to go. So yeah, like Jessica said, we're here to talk about so Towards Zero Death, or TZD. So TZD is basically an expansion from what Safe and Sober was. So Safe and Sober was basically, go out and find the impaired drivers, drugs and alcohol. Whereas now TZD is more, we've got 4 different avenues that we look for: speed, seatbelts, distracted driving, and then also still impaired driving. So I'll tell you more about that today.
So our vision is simple: 0 deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. And the TZD mission explains how we plan to do just that. So we plan to move Minnesota towards 0 deaths on our roads using education, enforcement, engineering, and emergency medical and trauma services. So the Towards Zero Death program focuses on the application of the 4 strategic areas to reduce crashes. Like I had mentioned, education, enforcement, engineering, and emergency and medical services. We've recently included the 5th E, which is everyone, as everyone shares the road. Working together, these efforts will make a difference on our Minnesota roadways.
So basically, we, as a team in Goodhue County, all the departments are, all the police departments are involved, as well as Goodhue County Sheriff's Office, with enforcing the different initiatives that we're striving for. We recently just got out of an impaired driving wave, which was August 17th through September 3rd. Just within the city alone, we had 1 officer work an event in the city of Red Wing. And we ended up netting 3 DWI arrests for the whole city within that wave. 2 of them actually came on day shift. So impaired driving is happening all the time, day and night. So basically, the big thing we're out there is we're a cohesive group where we figure out where those problems are, where we need those where we need to get that enforcement from, and go out there and we decide let's do this city this week, that kind of stuff. We've got different waves throughout the whole entire year. So we sit down at the beginning of the summer, essentially, and figure out here's the dates that we have. Let's figure out a plan. Let's figure out some dates that we're going to go and enforce it. It's not a, the state puts out that we're going to be doing these enforcement waves. It's not a secret that we're out there. So it's, for us, we're still seeing all these things happening, even though we have all this education. We work as a team with like the engineers, and like with Jessica here, she's an educator, to accomplish our goals and our missions that we see every day. Sometimes you might see a Cannon Falls squad in the city of Kenyon out enforcing these things, but those, when we go out to a different city, it's not funded by the city here. We get grant money from TZD that we use for those enforcement waves. So it's not a city funded thing that we're going out and doing. It's the state that's funding us to go out and enforce these different things throughout the year.
Yep. And to add on to that, whenever we have waves, they're done statewide. There is a lot of, even here, we put it out in all of our 5 local Goodhue County newspapers, so everybody gets things beforehand, they get things afterwards, they get articles to show how many we have. We have a Facebook page, so we get the information out, and then every single county also has to get all the information out. So the full state of Minnesota, statewide, is doing these enforcement campaigns at the same time. So this slide shows how factors that contribute to highway crashes are interconnected. So human behavior, which is the driver, infrastructure, and then the vehicle. Driver error contributes in some form to approximately 93% of highway crashes. The roadway environment, which includes both the roadway design, but then also weather-related factors such as darkness, rain, snow, ice, contribute to 34% of crashes. And then the vehicle itself, whether that's a blown tire, mechanical failure, safety devices, or the lack thereof safety devices, contribute to 13% of crashes. So these are the 4 focus areas that we've mentioned, and these are also what our regional crash data show are the highest contributing factors in traffic-related fatalities and serious injuries. So speed, seatbelt use, distracted driving, impaired driving. In Goodhue County alone, from 2012 to 2016, in regards to our fatalities and our serious injuries, we were above the state averages in all 4 of the focus areas, and also in the total number of fatalities and serious injuries. So we've been focusing on these factors for a few years, but we're still not at 0 fatalities, so there's still work to do. So each year, illegal or unsafe speed is a leading contributing factor for Minnesota's fatal crashes, accounting for at least 130 deaths annually, and about 70% of those are on rural 2-lane roads in Minnesota. Young adult motorists are the most common offenders and those at greatest risk. Speeding is not an innocent crime. It puts every motorist on the road at risk. In 2015, 86% of unbelted traffic deaths occurred in greater Minnesota. Rural 2-lane roads are dangerous. We have to take action to stay safe, which means buckle up every time. A record of percentage of Minnesotans are buckling up, so 94%, but yet each year, more than half of the motorists who are killed in crashes are unbelted. So that translates to more than 150 deaths and more than 400 serious injuries annually. Distracted driving or inattentive driving is when a driver engages in any activity that might distract them from their primary task of driving. Impaired driving. So we have seen a reduction of alcohol-related deaths in Minnesota, but impaired driving is still a serious threat on Minnesota roads. In 2015, 70% of all impaired driving related traffic fatalities, once again, occurred in greater Minnesota. Impaired driving accounts for over 100 deaths each year, and about 30,000 motorists are arrested for DWI. So currently, about 1 in 7 Minnesota drivers has a DWI on record. Our TZD efforts are working. The image shows the number of deaths on our roadways that have been dramatically reduced since the TZD program started in Minnesota in 2003. When TZD began in 2003, we were seeing an uptick in traffic-related fatalities. 655 people died on our roadways in 2003 alone. Preliminary deaths for 2017 is at 358, which is the lowest number since 1943 and the second lowest number since 1926. So that compares to 392 in 2016 and 411 in 2015. We need to keep doing the good work that we're doing, but also look for innovative ways to keep the downward trend going down. I don't need to remind you that each of these deaths was someone's mom, dad, brother, sister, or friend. So our work continues. And it also took a lot of effort to get, and collaboration to get where we are. These are just a few of the legislative initiatives that helped push the trend line down. One example of this was in 2009 when Minnesota legislature passed the changed the seatbelt laws for making not wearing a seatbelt a primary offense, which means an officer could ticket a driver for not wearing a seatbelt even if no other traffic law was broken. The research team analyzed the data prior to the passage with actual crash data after the passage of that law. The result estimated by 2013, there had been at least 132 fewer deaths, 434 fewer severe injuries, and 1,270 fewer moderate injuries since the primary seatbelt law went into effect. That improved safety record translates to at least $67 million in avoided hospital charges, which includes direct charges of nearly $16 million or more Minnesota tax dollars that would have been billed to Medicare, Medicaid, and other government insurers. The table to the left shows the total number of deaths in the Southeast region by year. So as the state of Minnesota actually saw an increase in traffic-related fatalities, the Southeast region actually dropped from 49 deaths in 2014 to 46 fatalities in 2016. So the Southeast region is headed in the right direction. So what is it going to take to get Minnesota to trendline to moving downwards again? We're here today not just to celebrate our successes, but also discuss what's coming next. Currently, as of today, there were 223 traffic-related deaths on our roads compared to 230 at the same time last year. So one way to get the trend line going downward again is to change our traffic safety culture. So traffic safety culture is the shared values, beliefs, norms, and attitudes that influence behavioral choices. So to put it into perspective, if you believe that most people don't speed, then you're less likely to speed. So these modifications also require change in the culture. So it has to be socially unacceptable for people to speed. It has to be socially unacceptable for people to drive distracted. So as we continue to educate traffic safety stakeholders and also our community at large in a variety of different ways, we're trying to get the message out to everyone because everyone shares our roads and we all need to take care of each other while we're using the same systems. A reduction in fatalities and serious injuries will only occur if we use new and innovative ways to educate motorists on traffic safety risks. So the goal of Towards Zero Death is to help reduce the number of deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. Each one of us in the room already has the goal of zero fatalities for our families and loved ones. So if everyone adopted that philosophy, they'd understand why zero is the only goal that we should shoot for. I am done. Are there any questions or?
Any questions?
All right. Thank you for your time.
No.
Yep.
Thank you for coming in, and thanks for the job you guys do. Okay, that moves us on to item 7 this evening, the consent agenda. Items on this area of the agenda may be adopted or they may be removed and placed on the business area of the agenda for discussion purposes before approving. For the folks at home, the consent agenda consists of item A, which is adjusting correct claims for the accounting period ending August 30th, 2018. Item B are the meeting minutes for the August 21st, 2018 City Council meeting. Item C are the meeting minutes for the August 21st, 2018 City Council work session. Item D, Resolution 2378, accepting a donation of $1,000 from Invenergy Cannon Falls LLC to the Fire Department. Resolution 2379, accepting a donation of $250 from Gemini Incorporated to the library. Resolution 2380, accepting a donation of $25 from Ralph and Susan Job to the library. Item G is approve a temporary liquor license for the VFW 4452 and approve lane closure for the fall event. Item H, rescind liquor license and approve on-sale liquor license and Sunday liquor license for Artisan Plaza. Item I, approve temporary liquor license for the Cannon Arts Board. And item J, 2381, accepting a donation of $1,000 from Invenergy to the ambulance department. Are there any items anybody wishes to bring down this evening? If not, Chair will take a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Morris, second by Ken. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. That moves us on to item 8 this evening, which is council business, and the first thing on there is the November 6th meeting date change. Linnell?
Thank you, Mayor. The November 6, 2018 City Council meeting, that would be a regular meeting evening or meeting night, is in conflict with the general election. By state law, we cannot have a meeting that evening. So I'm asking the City Council to pick a date to reschedule that meeting. Part of the reason I'm asking for that now is so that we can work on the public hearing process and get the dates lined up for the East Side 2 project, because we have some deadlines and things that we need to meet for that. So I'm recommending that we meet on Tuesday, November 13th. It would be just 1 week later. That still falls within the state guidelines of when the City Council has to canvass the results of the general election, which is 3 to 10 days. So I'm recommending that we change that date now and asking council approval for that.
Anybody got any?
Motion to approve that change.
I'll second.
Motion by Bill, second by Morris, to approve the change of the November 6th meeting date to November 13th. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. That moves us on to item 8B, Service Line Warranties of America.
All right, this item is on the agenda tonight. As you may recall, we've had several discussions on the Service Line Warranties program, and most recently the City Council decided not to move forward with that program in Cannon Falls. This was a program that was in coordination with a company that would offer insurance to the residents at their cost. There was no cost to the city for this, and the City Council chose not to do that. When I contacted the company to notify them of the City Council's decision, they informed me that we had a marketing agreement that had been signed, and so they were just bringing that to our attention, and then they wanted to know if you would be willing to have them come in and just talk to you to answer some of the questions and concerns that you may have. Some of the questions that were raised during our discussions that I really was not able to answer. And they said they would also be able to bring forth some names of local contractors, which I know was a concern of the City Council as well. So this would just give them the opportunity to come in and kind of represent. It's been a number of months. I think they were here in November of last year. So this would give them the opportunity to kind of refresh our memories on exactly what they do. And then they could also answer any questions and concerns that the City Council may have. So tonight I'm not asking for approval of the program or anything like that. I'm just looking for consensus from the council to see if you'd be willing to have them come in and talk to you again.
Was that a non-binding marketing agreement signed by Ron?
It could be binding. I did have our city attorney review it, and his comment wasn't that it was a non-binding agreement. It was just some question on whether or not Ron had the authority from the council to sign it, because my recollection was that at the time when the City Council discussed it, they made a motion to move forward with it in a non-binding manner. So we would need to do a little bit of more research on that.
You'd have to show me minutes, because I don't think this council ever approved an agreement.
No, they did not. They just approved moving forward into looking into the program, not in a binding manner that we're going to do it. It's just that we're going to look into it. We're going to try to see if we could come up with a letter, which you had seen several times, and then doing some training, which did take place. So that's kind of where we were on that.
Well, I think we have to table this till we find those minutes. I mean, I wasn't here in January when this is dated, the marketing agreement, but we got to find out if the council approved. If they didn't, you know.
I'm sure we didn't approve that.
No.
No.
Well, and I'm not really questioning that
Right.
tonight. I'm just asking if you are willing to have them come in to talk to you about their program, to refresh our memories on it, to maybe answer any questions or concerns that you have that's come up since they were here the first time, and you know, during the discussions that we had when that letter was brought forth, that I really wasn't able to answer or speak for them.
Well, I would like to know what went on first before we make that decision. That's why I'm thinking we table it until we get the information and then go from there to,
Right.
you know, will we meet with them or not?
I thought we voted just to drop it.
Well,
That was
we
my
did.
assumption too.
That was the last motion that was taken, right? But this information has come to light since that motion was done.
I think I agree with Bill. I think we need to go back and find those minutes, Linnell, to make sure that, to see if it was binding or if there was something done that,
Yeah.
on this, so
Something fishy here.
Yep.
Well, I'll just mention, I've been opposed to it because I wanted local contractors, and they didn't seem to come up with any names. And now I find out that you could have a plan with your local homeowners insurance, and it's very cheap, and it would offset any costs of joining an outfit like this. And now I've heard from a couple residents, there's another company sending mailings to residents in town offering this service that hasn't even come and got approved by the city. So I suppose I was trying to get a copy of it, but I think people just get it and throw it away. So I haven't got one myself. So.
I don't think I have either. But
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, you really want to know when you read this agreement. I mean, it talks about them being able to use the city's name and logo on their letterhead.
See, we said no to that.
That isn't.
Yeah, I had a resident bring us one of the letters, not Service Line Warranties of America. It was a different company, and they were just wondering if it was a scam or not. Similar program that this company was offering, they got mailed out probably 2-3 days after the last council meeting when you guys decided to not move forward with this. So I told them it's a company advertising for your business. You know, you can enter in it with them if you're not, but it was just, I found that a coincidence too, that right after we decided not to, then another company decided to start mailing out to residents, you know, the same type of business. So
Yeah.
so everybody is in consensus with having Linnell go back and trying to find those minutes to bring those forward, so we've got a copy of those to see exactly where we were on that. Okay. That moves us on to item 8C this evening, which is a request by contractor to discuss the 200 Limestone Road. Who opens these?
The city council. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for hearing me out. I'm Guy Wiltz. I'm the project manager for Shire Construction and mainly for the Woodridge Bluffs addition. And I'm pretty sure you're aware where it's located at. And I can either go through those handouts now or whether you'd like me to go through them a little later. If you could direct me which way you'd like to do that.
Whichever way you want to go. We're here to listen.
Okay, but I'm here to clarify some statements that were made at your last city council meeting. And I believe that there was a lot of misled information. A lot of people came away from with some misconceptions about the whole meeting. It almost appeared, I watched the video probably a minimum of 7 times, and I get the feeling that that you thought, you actually think, or the city thinks, or whoever thinks that watched it, actually we sat down with a couple crayons and a bar napkin and drew something out and then, hey, let's just go build this. We didn't do that. We went through the proper channels and got the proper approvals that we've done for the first 7 houses that we've done up there. We did get approval on this house, and it did fit the style and the size and the lot we're building on. We couldn't break ground until we got that approval, which we received on 7/16 of 2018. And there was a lot of statements said, but we take offense to when it says it looks horrible. We take pride in our work. Excuse me. And I just don't think that's a fair statement. We did not work 7 days a week because either there was not lumber there or it was in a process of in between subcontractors. I did state it's not the final grade, which is a true statement. We don't do final grade. I don't know of anybody that does final grade until the process is done, because you're going to have equipment, people, everything walking around the whole area. So there is no sense getting it shined up to look beautiful just to have it ruined by equipment. In the paper, and also I heard it, that a change of elevations permit. And I've done some checking, and I'm not even sure what that even is. And it doesn't really matter to us because we didn't need a change of elevation permit because we did not change the elevation. The rules and regulations of Cannon Falls have been followed. We've always followed them, and we will continue to follow them. I can give you a little background of what I know the process is because I've been told what the process is. We submit a permit, an application. It goes, we bring it to the city. The city does whatever they look for, zoning, and it was said things of the such, I don't know what even things of the such are. I mean, that was said, but I don't even know what those are, but it's supposed to meet all the city requirements. And before it gets handed off to the county, those have to be met. As you can see on the papers I gave you, those are the last 4, 5, 6 houses that we built. And at the very bottom, it's been signed as approved. The very last page is the one that we just got called on that it's done. And that one was done prior to us getting the phone call, but it almost appears they were holding it hostage until they could figure out what they needed next. The initial plan says it's supposed to be like a walkout, but that's a suggestion. That's not a requirement. At best, that lot would have probably been like a split, because I knew in that particular area of Woodridge Bluffs, I've been up there for years. I know the dirt. I know what goes on up there. The sewer line is 7 feet deep. We put 9-foot basements in. If this grading plan does not call for a grinder pump on this particular lot, that would have been needed unless it would have been a split. Grinder pumps last maybe 10 years, and then you got to get them replaced. I don't know who would work on those. It says that it was stated that all single-family homes do not go through the city engineer, but our last 2 have. So are we getting singled out that now all of this Shire construction ones get looked at, or is it everybody who builds? Because the information I was given of the new homes that went up last year in Cannon Falls, we did 40% of them. We like building in Cannon Falls. We like Cannon Falls. But this is a bad hiccup that it has cost a lot of money. It cost us a lot of money. It's cost the homeowners a lot of money. They're innocent, and we are innocent. But it seems like everybody wants to bash us, and it's not fair that you had a meeting last week or 2 weeks ago on the 21st, and it must have been known that you were going to talk about it because people were walking around the lots. That's private property. And we would like to have private property respected. It would be trespassing. And if the signs aren't up now, they will be no trespassing signs put on. Because there's dangers on lots. There's dangers on building sites. Somebody gets hurt, they're going to sue us or the owners of the lots. That's just can't happen. We had a meeting with, I got to get the date exactly right. Well, actually, we received a courtesy phone call from Goodhue County that says that the city wanted to put a stop work order on this property, but there was no justification to put a stop work order on it. We have had 4 inspections and the dirt tested at this place before this stop work order even was brought to mind, even issued. So that means we had the proper approval. The second page is the permit card. That's a copy of it, which is out at site. It needs to be signed by the inspector. So we met with the city. We met with Samantha at the city. We had it set up for the 13th of August. And present was the inspector, Dan Verling from Goodhue County, Doug Morum, the building official from Goodhue County, Samantha Meyer, Deb Wiltz, the owner of Shire Construction, and myself. And throughout the whole discussion, I know I asked more than once, but I said, will any of this hinder the progress of this build? And she said, no, it will not. That was on a Monday. I got an email from a stop work order was issued on Thursday. And I don't know how many times I could say that we did the proper channels. We did whatever we were supposed to do. But bashing us is not the way to solve this. We did nothing wrong. The house fits there. Just because people don't like the grade of their neighbor, that's not against the law. This fits. And and earlier it was requested that maybe you should see the grading plans. We're fine with that. But we would also like to see all the grading plans for the other houses up there. Because everybody's worried about the water in the backyard of 200 limestone going all over the place, but we're accepting all the water from the neighbor to the north of 200 limestone is running right into a swale that doesn't exist. We're going to have to create it, and we have to accept their water.
How can you say it fits? I sat with the Nelsons down in their patio, and I'm looking up a mountain at this.
It's not a mountain. It's very simple math. When we submit the survey, it has top of block. And this particular one happens to be 999.83. I have it memorized. And then there's a hub in the back that's existing elevation. You take the big number, you take the small number, you take them apart. That's the number that gives you feet and tenths of feet how high it will be. It's not a secret. We didn't keep anything from anybody. It fits on the lot.
Fitting on the lot is one thing, but when you look at the pictures that were emailed to the city council on the north side of that, and you got the all your fill material grading all the way down right to the property line.
No, we don't have it to the property.
It was, well, okay,
We don't
just a
have it to
couple
the
inches.
property line because we installed silt fence.
There was no silt fence there originally, and it was graded to within a couple inches of the property line, and that is true.
On what side?
On the north side.
What about the northwest corner, where everybody's worried about the dirt?
Well, that's about break even there.
We couldn't we put silt logs up there, which are acceptable erosion control. We couldn't put them on the lot line where they go because there was 5 sprinkler heads from the neighbors on this property. So we couldn't put them there. We're trying to be decent. Why would we want to put them on top of their sprinkler heads? We left them inside. All that silt fence was up there to save, and I told when I met Greg out there on Tuesday, I said, we are getting a plow in here and we're putting in additional silt fence to take away any kind of squabbles. And we did that on Wednesday. And so now we've gone closer to the property line, but we're in the back northwest corner, we're 20 feet probably away from the property line. We couldn't go any closer at the time because there was a shed in the water drainage easement, which is an easement, each person has 5 feet. We have 5 feet on ours, they have 5 feet on theirs. That's within the 10-foot setback that's on each side property line. They're supposed to have the swale is supposed to go right down the property line. In this case, it will not. It'll have to go on ours because they're grandfathered in. But if their grade is incorrect at property line, our grade will be incorrect at the property line. But we have to match their grade. So we have to accept their water. And that was the big concern for everybody, that they're going to accept our water. Now we have to accept theirs. Did you have another question? No?
No, it was,
We actually like building in Cannon Falls. I mean, we patronize as many places as we can. We eat here, we go to the restaurants, we buy fuel, we go to the lumberyard, we use a hardware store for the appliances. Tries to use as many local subs as we can if the price is right, because people won't spend $5,000 more to use somebody local. They'll say, you know, you have to do it. We have to have the house built. That's what we do for a living. Earlier it was said about a swale, but a swale is a swale. It's not a holding pond, and it's not a rock garden. A swale is designed to move water away, and I'm sure he will agree with me. It's designed to move water away. The shale rock that everybody, that's down below, under the ground, because we've hit much of it. We get every soil's tested of every house that we do. Before the footing goes in, we have it tested. It has to meet up to a minimum of 2,000 square feet per foot. And we're way over that on every one of them. If you want to see the soil reports, I'll be happy to show them. The homeowners get them. The county has them. The county actually said, up there, we're going to require what you guys do as the standard, because there's a couple lots that we don't own, that we don't have control over. We don't own them, Steve Hinge owns them. And so they said, whatever you do, that's what we're going to go with. As far as the trees removed and the bluff line, I know no trees were removed in any of the sites that we have control over or the homeowners have bought, unless they're now it's their property, and we can't go in and tell them what to do with their property. There's one stake in the northwest corner of this that I'm looking into it. It appears to have been moved, so I'm going to get those have a pin mark. Those have a mark, so they know where they're supposed to be, and the surveyor, when he gets that from whoever he gets it from, that will be put into the proper spot. It appears, I mean, they've been in there for 15 years, and that's wobbly. So that one appears to be moved unless a tree hit it. As far as the blame goes, I feel that none of the blame should be on Shire Construction, and none of the blame should be on the homeowners. The homeowners are innocent people, and we are innocent people. We were doing what we said we could do, and we showed them how we could do it. And now everybody's up in arms stating that, you know, they don't like it. Well, the next thing, they won't like the color of the siding or the color of the shingles. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own property. We're building it by the book, and that's what you guys wanted. That's what we're doing. That's what they require.
Well, I'm not a builder, but I just think that's a poor house design for that lot.
Pardon me?
I'm not a builder, but I think that's a poor house design for that lot.
Well, see, I take offense to that. I mean, how am I supposed to react to when you say it's a poor house design? I take offense to that. We've designed these houses. The homeowner designs their own house. We have a standard plan. They do what they want with it. And so now you're saying the homeowners have a poor house design. I don't think that that's quite right.
The homeowner that bought it, they wanted the plan that you submitted?
Yes, they did. They get to pick out what they want. It's not our house. We're not building a house and say, here, you got to take what we got. No, we have a stock design, and this is what you get. This is what you want. This is, if you want to add this, you can add that. If you want to add this, you can add that. You want to change to a vaulted ceiling, you can do that. You want to change the flooring, you can do that. You can change the countertops, the fixtures, the lights, shingles, siding. We don't care. It's your house. So they get to pick out what they want as long as it fits in the area. And they do. So I take offense to saying it's a poor house design.
Guy, you were, I believe you were here earlier when a couple of the residents were concerned about the runoff stuff.
Yes.
Can you address some of that for them?
I don't know how many times we have to say it's not graded.
Right, I understand the final grade.
And so when it's
there.
graded, he's already approved the grading plan. So we are grading it as per the grading plan.
Okay.
I mean, is their grading plan correct? Grading plans in all the houses except the last two that you have copies of, a grading plan wasn't ever requested, nor a drainage plan. 2 surveys, 2 copies of plans, an energy certificate, heat loss calculations. That's what was required. That's what was submitted. That's what you guys wanted. That's what you got. Now, if you're going to change the rules, that's fine, but then
Well, I really think
everybody needs to have
because
a
there
rule.
were some concerns, that's why the city
But
brought
you
up
got
those
blamed.
concerns.
And everybody knew this meeting was going on, and they bashed us. I think a common courtesy would have been, is to say, hey, you know what, we're talking about 200 Limestone Road, and we know you're building it. You know, maybe you want to come to the meeting and stick up for yourself. That's what I'm doing today, is sticking up for us and the homeowners. And so,
I would like to say, though, yours wasn't the only home building site. We had another one at the same meeting with some drainage issues, and what we'd like to do going forward is to make sure we've got, you know, those drainage plans and that kind of stuff put in for stuff we do from this point forward.
I'm fine with that.
We can't change the past.
I know we can't change the past, but then it's got to be an even playing field for everyone.
Right, and
And so
I
I
believe
think I
that's
drove
our-
by that place that you were talking about, the other one. I get it. I get it on that one. I don't get it on this one. Because, I mean, it's not graded yet. You have to wait till we're done with the grade and
Right.
grass.
And I'm just mentioning to you that we're gonna try and correct going forward what we ask of every builder in town to provide a couple of additional
Yep,
things. that
I'm
we-
fine with that, but now because this is all over the YouTube and everything, we're gonna get blamed as the one who wrecked it for everybody. Is that fair? Because a
I don't
couple
think
neighbors
anybody-
didn't like it?
I don't think,
I don't think anybody
I mean,
put blame on you guys.
We're only doing what we were told. We didn't call the cops. We didn't throw a big stink when the neighbors had 5 sprinkler heads on our property and the building was in their drainage easement. How did that slip through the crack? We just said, you know, talk to the homeowners. Maybe they won't care if they're there. We're fine with it. But now this is what's become of it. Everybody's fighting with each other, and it's turned into not fun building houses up there right now. Because you got everybody staring at everybody else. I mean, we want to build houses. There's nothing better, if you're not a builder, there's nothing better when somebody moves into their house. And it's their house. Even when the house is started, it's a foundation. The windows are the cut, but they're not in. They vision themselves watching their kids play, or somebody mowing lawn, or what they're going to do back there. It's fun for them. And basically, this whole thing has probably ruined it for the Nemics. I'm hoping not. It's pitched neighbor against neighbor. Would you like to move into a neighborhood like that? Where your neighbor is mad at you before you even move in? I mean, some of these have to be thought of before it gets to be a wrestling match. I mean, they sold their house. They're living in a camper at the campground. This whole thing has put them 2 weeks behind. It's put us 2 weeks behind. You know, if you don't build houses, you don't know how hard scheduling is. It's hard. People, okay, you're moved to the back of the list. So something that was supposed to have been done last week, we might not get for a month now because we're at the bottom of the list. This has created a terrible struggle for us. We're going to win, but it's created a terrible. But I wanted to, this is not our fault. and it's not the homeowner's fault.